Well, Professor Khalifa Dikwa, it's good to have you on the program this evening. We've spoken to Honorable Ahmed, who joined us from our Abuja studio earlier on, but you are on ground in Borno State. You live in Borno State, so you know firsthand what is happening. You know the state of security, the fight against terrorism in particular. So listening to the Minister of Information speaking about the fight against terrorism, how does his statement resonate with you as a person who is on ground?
Good evening, Coyote and the Nigerian audience. Actually, at the northeast, that the insurgency of a thing that some of us had predicted long before it happened, long before, because of the access I personally had to the classified document in the 80s, early 80s. And therefore, it is true that the insurgency, the original one, had been defeated technically, but ideology cannot be defeated by weapons. And therefore, it had to follow the same rule, the same route, in order to pull down the ideology that had been inculcated in them through certain countries that were not suspected of allowing other intelligences from other places to infiltrate and create intolerance even within a particular religion and between two religions, as the case. So imagine if it were religion, as they say. Somalia had just one language and one religion, Islam. And Somalia is vertically just like Libya, completely Somalized. And again, I said Northeast had been there. We predicted it, and now it is getting down because why? Coyote should be able to ask why that the system had refused to use technology all the way. Why the system had refused to recruit and train retrain troops by inviting or engaging those who were experts in unconventional warfare. That is the guerrilla warfare. We could help them, get them from other equally embattled countries like Iraq, Somalia, Afghanistan, and so on. And therefore, the system, the real bad egg is actually within the system. They are closer to the corridors, and some of them are inside the corridors because they are always met outside during their own trip outside. They meet them in their lodges and so on, and sometimes harass them into defending the devil's advocate, into attacking, asking people to attack for instance, the information minister or the attorney general, as the case may be. It is about pulling down Nigeria as a whole, starting from the northeast, which is strategically located to link up Nigeria to East Africa, right up to Sudan, Kenya, Djibouti, and so on. And therefore, within it, Borno State is the only state that's linked to 4 other countries in the Lake Chad region, Niger, Cameroon, Chad, and then, by the way, it can continue up to that one. And therefore, Nigeria was meant to be Somalized right from the independence days. This is a brief. I'm just giving the backup that what they had for Nigeria in order to put it on the defensive for its role for security purposes anywhere, and that Nigeria leads other countries to get peace. And therefore, it is aimed at putting Nigeria on the defensive so that nothing happens in terms of common currency, in terms of trading within the continent. Yes.
You know, Prof, It's quite interesting, the vista you just opened up, rather. You went way back in time. I mean, you talked about some classified information. You've also referenced a lack of use of technology, retraining, recruitment. Honorable Ahmed put this at administrative stupidity, he called it. But you have opened up another vista. And this is something we'll need to explore to get the benefit of your knowledge and insight on the program this morning. But we'll need to go on a break, Prof. And when we return, we'll take on some of these issues, as well as, I mean, how many groups are terrorizing the region right now? What is being done? The NSA made some declarations recently, and I wonder what you think about that as well. So please stay with us. Hey, welcome back to the program. We still have with us Professor Khalifa Dikwa, who's a Dean, Borno Elders Forum. He joins us from our Maiduguri studio. Prof, thank you so much for staying with us. So there are three issues I really want us to deal with tonight before we wind down on the conversation. And it touches on terrorism, which you have started to talk about. Then the radicalization component, which I mean, people have said is quite important to winning this war. And then the fate of IDPs, who are casualties of this, fight against terrorism and the rest. So let me start from where you ended. And you seem to be saying that, this terrorism has shape-shifted, sort of, which is why the government will say, well, we have decimated Boko Haram to a large extent. But it would seem as though it's this hydra-headed snake that once you cut one off, another one springs up. So as it is right now, how many terrorist groups are threatening your state and by extension the sub-region?
Thank you, Kayode, for this great question. Actually, I'm the Dean of Borno Concerned Citizens. The elders are different. You see that I predicted, those who have been following me on social media, particularly Facebook, knew that this insurgency was going to take different forms, including banditry, kidnapping, and so on. And those who are the foot soldiers here actually had their own way, because of at that time when the 2015 came, with the change agents and so on were left at the gate. And therefore, the gate crashed and took over the driving, the steering, and continued to sabotage the system within the system. And therefore, this security of a thing, it was meant. Imagine, Kayode, a country, call it, unless they are doing diplomacy, or I don't know how big Nigeria is thinking. Why is it that Nigeria cannot name and shame the individuals and countries behind the insecurity issues that we had? We had a country, we had a country where the foot soldiers who are handsomely paid in order to pull down Nigeria. A particular country from Europe feels that Nigeria is an existential threat to its survival as a country in Europe. And therefore, imagine Nigeria itself has only 14 trillion naira of a thing. But if you convert $500 billion every year, that country receives is amounts to over 300 trillion naira. And therefore, 1 billion or 1 trillion is just nothing to dole out in order to destabilize the country. And they always infiltrate during democracy. In democracy, all the nonsensical things are smuggled into the system. They go to the National Assembly asking them to make new laws, as if Nigeria had no laws in the past. Look at the gymnastics they play of second reading, third reading, and so on.
But Prof,
again, technology that I earlier referred.
Right.
Why that? And then why selling public property in order to take away the sense of patriotism in the people? How can you, your parents and so on, pay for everything right from your primary education up to university, and then they expect you to be patriotic? What has the government done? Why is it that a few people who are blocking the power system prove to be above the law, and nobody is talking to them? Why?
Pardon me for butting in.
So many things are there because we have, yes, Kayode.
Because of our time.
And we will get it right.
Right.
Yes, my dear.
Pardon me, because of our time, I don't even think we can touch on all the points. But, you know, when you talked about smuggling things in democracy, for some, it will sound as though you're saying you maybe prefer the military regime to democracy. But perhaps that will take on another time. But let's talk about these
Not the
two
military
issues.
regime.
Okay, so what would you prefer to democracy
Not
then?
the military, the discipline of the military. I refer the discipline.
But then in a democracy, right?
Yes.
Oh, okay. So let's see if we can
So
touch on...
it is only in a democracy that devil advocacy is being defended. Those who attack their own country are pitching their tent with outsiders in order to pull the country down. Yet they have rights over others. You see lawyers coming all the way from other continents to defend them, not talking about those they inspired others to kill them, pulling down all the security, attacking security system, killing the military, killing the paramilitary, killing civilians and destroying their businesses. All these things are hardly mentioned under the so-called human rights organization. And therefore it's a devil advocacy there in order to torpedo the basic things that ought to keep Nigeria as one. All the differences, all the, what we call them, engineering of divisive tendencies are being promoted from people within the country and those
Prof,
who have double passports. Yes, Coyote.
Prof, it's always very interesting speaking with you on these issues and more, but we're totally out of time, Prof. I really want to take up the issues of IDPs and radicalizations, but perhaps another time. But I'd like to thank you so much, Professor Khalifa Dikwa, who is a Dean Borno Concerned Citizens. Thank you so much for your time on the program tonight.
You are welcome, as always.